All right, I want to talk about that Stephen King thing that went down. I didn't talk about it yesterday. There's been more developments. That's why I'm bringing it up. I wasn't going to talk about it because I'd missed it. But now there's reason to talk about it again because he's bent the knee. As, some weaker people usually do in these situations. The best thing he could have done was just not said anything after his tweet. But here we are. So if you don't know who Stephen King is for some reason, he's a best-selling book writer. Personally, I like the movies a little bit better because they usually end better. He's very, very bad at writing endings. Some of his works include The Shining, Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile, It, so on and so on. So what happened? Just in case you missed it. So what happened here is he decided to weigh in on what's going on with the Oscars. So, if you didn't know, the Joker got a bunch of nominations. So did Ford versus Ferrari, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and so on and so on. And this caused the whole woke brigade over on Twitter to go crazy. They went absolutely nuts about it. Got all kinds of trends going, like hashtag Oscars so white. And all these movies that didn't make the cut, they should have been there. Particularly because, they hit check boxes. That's why they should have been Oscar nods. So Stephen King weighs in because, if you don't know how the Oscars work, people in the entertainment industry vote on them. So Stephen King gets to vote on Oscars. And he says, as a writer, I am allowed to nominate in just 3 categories: Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Original Screenplay. For me, the diversity issue, as it applies to individual actors and directors anyway, did not come up. That said, then he tweets out again, I would never consider diversity in matters of art, only quality. It seems to me that to do otherwise would be wrong.
How dare you?
And he's absolutely right. What should win awards is quality. But of course, that's not the case. Like I've said a million times, and I'll repeat again because it's the truth. To have good entertainment, you need to focus on storytelling and story writing. You need to do that first. But to, these crazy people that are in woke Twitter and the entertainment industry and all this stuff, these super far leftists that inhabit everything when it comes to entertainment, they consider check boxes first. You have to tell that story before you tell the actual story. And because of that, they took a big problem with what he had to say. I guess it made too much sense. And they came out of the woodwork to attack him. I mean, he got brutally attacked. They were all just climbing out behind rocks and toilets to come out and just slam him. You can take a look at some of the tweets here. White men are 35% of the population. It's not logical that they produce 100% of the quality art. Which isn't true. Not true at all. They don't produce 100% of it. Get the hell out of here. So, respectfully saying, you as a white man can't really say that. You had more advantages and opportunities than a person of color would have. They have been wrongfully held back in so many ways just because of the color of the skin. And this guy here, with the utmost respect, I think this is quite a bit unfair. When films created by people of color, introspective of quality, constantly get overlooked by institutions that are predominantly composed of white men, there's an implicit bias at work here. And then we have, no offense, as you are privileged with being published in a time when everyone else being published look exactly like you, you couldn't be more wrong. Your statement implies that forced diversity takes away from inherent quality. Excuse me, sir, but diversity equals quality, and vice versa. So this guy is saying that just including that in the movie or the film or whatever automatically makes it more entertaining. That is the stupidest comment I've ever heard. That doesn't mean anything. But of course, that's how it rolls. Like, you could literally just you could just take a movie and just have a bunch of people sitting at a table. You put one of every group there, and they could just stare at each other. That, to these, crazy people, should be considered for Best Picture or something. It's not far from the truth. It's really not. So here's what happens. He comes in and bends the knee, which is what this is. Like, literally, like, uh-oh, you know. He comes in and says, the most important thing we can do as artists and creative people is to make sure everyone has a fair shot regardless of sex, color, or orientation. Right now, such people are badly underrepresented, and not only in the arts. You can't win awards if you're shut out of the game. It's very strange tweets to put right after the one that he made because they contradict himself. First off, I don't think anybody is shut out of the game, and I do think people have fair shots, particularly when it comes to writing, because you're just submitting the work. Like, no one knows who you are usually, unless you have a big name, and then, you know, people they do know who you are. But I don't think anybody is shut out. I think that that's stupid, and I think that that's a big lie. Everyone has a fair shot. If the product is good, it's good. You know, people will go to it, people will flock to it, and people will watch it. You can't tell me people don't have a fair shot when we live in a world where Black Panther makes almost as much money as Avengers, Infinity War, or Endgame. Black Panther was a very successful movie, and I thought it was a pretty good movie. I liked Black Panther, and I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people in the comments that disagree with me, and that's fine. But I didn't think that was a bad movie, and that movie made a ton of money. You can't tell me that we live in this crazy world that these people say that we live in when a movie like that makes $1 billion. Anyway, he bends the knee. And here's the thing, I don't disagree with what he's saying here. I think everyone deserves a fair shot. No matter who they are, no matter what they look like, I think you deserve a shot to write something, to create something, just like anybody else. The problem is it shouldn't be accepted based on those. If it's good and people want to buy it, they buy it. If you get your movie made and it fails, it fails. Okay? It shouldn't matter who's in it. It should just matter if it's good. And then, you know, I agree with this. You can't get awards if you're shut out of the game. But I don't think anyone's shut out of the game. You know, a lot of these movies that are being listed by people, apparently people didn't like them. So that's why they didn't get in. You can't tell me they didn't get looked at. They did get looked at. Nobody liked them. There's a reason that they flop, because people didn't like it, or just, you know, people don't want to go to the movies to see, you know, every movie anymore. It's a totally different game now, going to the theaters. You know, most things go to streaming, but I just hate how everything falls down this whole, you know, you didn't hit these check boxes, or you hit these check boxes, so it's a disaster. It's a stupid thing that I'm just tired of hearing. But Stephen King, you should have just left it at the last tweet. Most normal people understood what you were saying, but of course, woke Twitter came out and tried to cancel him. Now, I don't think he'll be canceled. The tweet wasn't that crazy. And he quickly came back and doubled down. But they're not going to let it go. He's going to get hounded probably for the next month. I'm eagerly awaiting the 40 articles that are going to come out and smear him probably within the next week. So that's pretty much it. He quickly came out and bent the knee after he had that one tweet. As you can see, they still said stuff like this. Someone cancel this racist effer. You know. You messed up, Stephen King. You should have just left it alone, but you wanted to come out and appease people after you offended them, which was your biggest mistake right there, man. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Also, throw a like up. Remember, interacting with the video helps out a lot, so please consider interacting with it with comments and likes. Also, share the video. Helps get the word out, because YouTube doesn't do it unless you're Jimmy Kimmel. Also, make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, take a moment. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. There's something going on right now, and they've been unsubscribing people. So just take a second and double check on that, and subscribe if you're new.